talk about how you made this happen in the middle of all this trauma, how you kind of created relationships that permitted you to make this amazing film.
Sure. So we were producers for ABC News Nightline, so we went down pretty much in the few days afterwards. And that's what we do. We've been in these mass shooting situations before, and we go down, and it's very difficult. You're going into someone's life in the worst possible moment. So it was a lot of spending time with the families and communities, sitting down without cameras, getting to know people. And I think just over weeks and months, it became clear there were a few families that were opening their doors to us, willing to sit, and as we asked them really challenging questions. And so we could see they were really in it for the long term with us.
Yeah, so as you can imagine, when we first went down there, we met many more survivors and many more students. And it was a fairly natural and organic process where some students were just not ready to continue filming. And the ones that we continue to follow kept welcoming us back. And at one point, actually fairly early in the process, one of the fathers, it was actually Brooke Harrison's father, she was in the first classroom attack, told us, every time you guys come back, you're getting the poison out. And that was a really great thing for us to hear, because we were also very concerned about re-traumatizing them, especially the students, by asking them to retell their experience.
They all came with us to the premiere of Tribeca and our international premiere up in Toronto at AFI DOCS. So yeah, it's amazing to have their support, and their work is about making sure this doesn't happen to other families and other communities, and so they want to get their message out.
Some thoughts, how do you balance individual rights, to protect yourself with the dangers, the collective dangers of the community? And that's not just with weapons, that's with speech on the internet now, because people are being radicalized, Christchurch, all these other things, that's a really big debate. I'll mention that Carlos Maza interviewed David Hogg and made a great strike-through video about a year ago, and Carlos is in the middle of a big controversy about internet speech right now. There's a parallel danger that speech for the individual, when you put it together and it's collective, and you have a lot of inequality in the society and a lot of different educational levels, that things that are safe for us become dangerous for other people. How do you balance these two things in a society where we want individual freedom?
I think there's about 10 films and all the things that you mentioned just now. But I think you raise a really important point. I think David in particular has been a target of some very big attacks that has had real world consequences. But I think that what we really wanted to do was to kind of tell the story about what the process is of the personal grief and the healing that the families go through after a mass shooting event, and try to shed light on some of those more human moments, rather than, gun violence is very quickly politicized. But what we really wanted to do was to show the more intimate moments that happen behind the headlines.
And just adding to that, we didn't set out to make a political film or an advocacy film. We're journalists, and so it was important for us to show, not alienate anyone on any side of the political spectrum. So for that reason, we have two fathers who are very clearly on different sides of the political aisle, but have this awful thing in common. And the questions you bring up are exactly what we want. We want to continue a dialogue and a conversation about all of these issues.
As a fellow journalist, what do you think is our responsibility? Because something that David said, I think, is very important. It seems to be when these things happen in certain communities, the media is media, run down there. But it's happening right here in Washington, D.C., not even a block away. That's everyday life. and no one marched, and no one made a documentary, and no one, are we doing our job of covering those lives equally with the same intent and the same concentration? Because at the end of the day, whether South Side of Chicago, Parkland, Columbine, whatever it is, it's like, you know, it's like Trayvon Martin's mom, Sabrina said, this is a club no parent wants to be a member of. Are we doing a good enough job of showing this is a across the board issue?
I think that that's a responsibility that we didn't take lightly either. And yes, as long as, you know, gun violence, as you point out, plague different communities in the country, it's our responsibility to continue telling these stories.